Luxury cars, flashy vacations, designer clothes. We've all seen one or two persons who loves to show off their expensive lifestyle and think to ourselves, this person has it all, right? But what if I told you that some of these people are even poorer than you? On the other hand, what if I told you that the truly wealthy don't even have any of these things I just listed? What if the most secure person you know is actually the least person you will ever suspect to be rich? Because the rich and the truly wealthy are not the same thing. One spends their money to look rich, while the other one saves and invests their money to be rich. But can you be both? So let's talk about it. But before we go on, if you're new here, you might be wondering, why should you listen to me? Don't scroll yet, because I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to give you any get rich quick scheme or any other thing like that. I'm just a girl sharing what I've learned on my journey to financial freedom, and I've created the content on this page to give you a simple yet effective steps I use to take control of my money so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. So now, if I've convinced you to listen to me, let's get into it. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 5 subtle signs that someone is secretly rich. This isn't about shaming anyone, it's about changing your thinking of what wealth actually looks like so that you can adopt these behaviors yourself. But before we start, let me tell you a secret. Number 5 is the one that all of us are going to be agreeing on. The first sign that someone is secretly rich is that they never almost talk about anything concerning money. You don't know how much they earn, what they just bought, or even their total net worth. You will never hear them talking about it, but rather you find that they always focus on talking about other things. But why? Because they don't really have to. Most people who are financially secure don't always need to seek for validation, because they always understand that money is not just something you can use to buy whatever it is you want, but rather they think of money as a tool that they can use to grow their wealth. But then on the other hand, you find that someone who is usually showing off or broadcasting their wealth is most likely an insecure person who is trying to convince themselves of their success. You always see them trying to look all flashy. Most of the time, the designer clothes they wear are usually like screaming the names of the brand, just so that they can tell you that they are earning so much or they have so much money. But if you really look deep down today, the second sign that someone is secretly rich is that they avoid lifestyle inflation. Most times, even when their income is growing, you find that their lifestyle remains the same, so their lifestyle does not grow with their income. When they get a raise or any upgrade in their status in their workplace, you find that they are not thinking of how to upgrade to a bigger house or to buy the next car or to even change that phone that is completely working fine, because they understand that as your lifestyle is growing, so is your expenses. So rather than using that money to be buying every other thing that you're seeing around you, or just trying to upgrade everything that is you are currently comfortable with, why don't you put this money into something that is going to add value to your life, or even use it to take care of the things that are around you that are going to be adding value in one way or the other to your life. So for the most part, you find that the secretly wealthy people don't allow their lifestyle to catch up to their income, so they keep this gap between what they are earning and what they are spending their money on. Unlike the ones who are usually showing their flashy lifestyle and are usually spending their money just to try and catch up with whatever it is they are earning, you find that the secretly wealthy people, or for the most part someone who is always thinking about wealth building, tries to have a gap between their income and their expenses. The third sign that someone is secretly rich is that most times they tend to prioritize their time over possessions. We can all agree that time is something that nobody has control over. There was even this radio show that we used to have in Nigeria where they always say, time not they wait for anybody, yo. They use your time well, oh my brother. Something that goes along that line. But you just know that time is not something you have control over. So what you do with your time is very important. And the secretly rich people, or the most wealthy people, understand this. And so they tend to engage in purchases that will help them to take control over their time, unlike just spending your money buying possessions that you end up looking at tomorrow and saying, why did I buy this thing? So rather than you thinking of every weekend, that you don't really like cleaning, but then you're engaging in cleaning, why don't you hire someone who is going to be doing the cleaning for you? So that time you're supposed to use for your cleaning, you now allocate it to something more useful in your life. Or instead of you cooking all the time, and that this thing takes up your time, it stresses you out, you don't really like it, why don't you engage someone that is going to be doing the cooking for you? Why use the time to even learn how to make more money, or even do anything that you already have in your life that is going to help you to increase your income? You now even find one example that some people, instead of them living very far away, they know that okay, they can get the best house far away, they can get the most cheap house far away, but rather than doing that, they now tend to spend their money buying a house or living in a house that is closer to the place where they work, so that they will cut down on the time they used to commute to work, rather than saying that because you're buying the most expensive house outskirts and now spending so much time getting to work, which will not even stress you out in turn, you are not spending all that time. So you see that they are using their time for something more productive, something that is adding value to their life. They are reducing their stress level level and they are getting value for their time, because they understand that you can't buy time back, but money can always be made. So they now use their money to gain something that is considered luxury: time freedom. They are always learning and they are very generous with their time, money and knowledge. The fourth sign is that the rich are curious people. Like, they are constantly learning, they are constantly asking questions. They don't just only focus on reading finance books or any of the books that you would suspect that a rich person should be reading, but you find that they are curious about history, what is happening in the world, how does it affect their environment, how does it affect their purse. So you find that they are usually asking more questions, they are usually listening more rather than doing the talking. All this is to tell you that the wealthy person understands that their mind is their biggest asset. They don't just invest in money, but rather they invest in their knowledge, in their skills, because they know that that investment is always going to pay off one way or the other. One of the things that I've learned from the truly wealthy people is that money is not just something you have, but it is something you give, because true wealth is having so much so that you can freely share it with others. They dress for the occasion, not to impress. I told you the fifth one is always the juiciest one because we can all agree that the people who broadcast their wealth, first thing you see is what they are wearing. They want to show you that they are wealthy, but you find that the truly wealthy people, they don't just dress to impress anybody because they are not seeking for your validation, but they are dressing for the occasion at every point in time. You find that most times people are always making fun of the fact that Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, even this Facebook guy Mark Zuckerberg, they are always wearing plain t-shirts. It feels like they are wearing the same thing over and over again, just gray black, and this is something that is usually attributed to so many tech guys. But you find that most of these people, they don't really care about what they are wearing, because as long as it is not adding value or helping them to use their time properly, why should they focus on it? So you find that most of the time they are usually wearing your classic jeans and t-shirts. They don't even think about how flashy the clothes is, but all that matters is that these clothes are high quality and it fits them very well, because they are not buying clothes to signal status. But then flip the screen and you find that the person who is always broadcasting their wealth and showing off, wearing all the Gucci and Louis Vuitton, is more focused on how you perceive them rather than what value they are adding to the table. So you see the clear difference between these two sets of people. Now let me give you a bonus point, because we've just talked about the 5 points. It is the fact that most rich people have this buffer mentality. So you find that most rich people that want to be like today or aspire to be like today, most times they already have money set out for every situation in their life. So instead of always spending all their money on these things we've just talked about, you find that they are keeping money for emergencies. So that's where we now talk about having an emergency fund. So before your money even comes, you already have account that is set out for every situation around your life, so that you don't always have to go back to your savings for every time you need money, but instead you have a buffer mentality. So you always have something for every situation kept out. Once your salary comes, once your income comes, instead of increasing your lifestyle, you tend to allocate your money more wisely than the everyday person who is trying to look rich. So there you have it. These are the 5 signs that someone is secretly rich. Because true wealth is not about the cars you are driving or the house you're living in or even the clothes you are wearing. It's about the peace of mind that comes from living below your means, because you are always covered at every point and you use your resources to live a life of freedom. Now let me throw you this question. Which of these points really surprised you? You always know about these things, but then you have to still remind yourself that okay, me buying this thing, is it really adding value to my life, or is it just adding me to the list of the I am rich because you are trying to seek for validation? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to start your journey to true wealth, be sure to check out this other video I made on how to build a 6 months emergency fund, because if you are sure to become wealthy, or if you are sure to maintain your lifestyle and live a life of total freedom, you have to know how to build your emergency fund. So check out this video right here, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.